Hello, I'm Dr. Jack Bowman, Director of the Mind Plus Muscle Institute, and I'd like to welcome you once again to our Perform Like a Star series. Today we have the opportunity to view both the player and the play in demonstrating mental toughness in action. Let's take a look at how this player wins the game in the very last second for a team playing its very first Division I playoff game.
SUNY rivals Albany and Stony Brook took to the field Saturday in the opening round of the FCS playoffs at Laval Stadium. Head coach Chuck Priori leads the Seawolves onto the field against his alma mater. To the fourth quarter we go. Off play action once again, Essington works the sidelines to Gush for 17 more yards. And then it's time to dial Jakulski's number once again. Finds the hole and scampers in from 11 yards out. And all of a sudden the Seawolves have erased an 18-point deficit to lead by 3. Albany would not go quietly. On 4th and 11, Delela to Nick Hutcherson gets 12 yards and a huge first down. And then look at the little shovel pass to Smith down to the Stony Brook 2-yard line. Less than a minute to go now. Watch as the play of the season unfolds. Delela to the end zone. It's tipped and picked off by Dominic Reyes. And that seals the game for the Seawolves. They take it 31-28. They've won 9 straight games and will advance to the next round of the FCS playoffs to take on Sam Houston State next Saturday afternoon.
Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Jack Bowman, the Director of the Mind Plus Muscle Institute, where athletes learn to perform at their best when it matters the most. And I can't think of an athlete who has demonstrated that remarkable capacity to be mentally tough at the most critical times when his team most needed him than this remarkable young man here, DJ Porter, a defensive back for the Stony Brook University football team. DJ, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Doc.
It's a pleasure having you here today.
It's a pleasure being here.
Well, I'd like to ask you a few questions about your own mental preparation and your mental state, particularly in reference to a significant play that occurred about a week and a half ago during the playoffs.
Yes, sir. Our first playoff game.
First playoff game, and I think that was the first playoff game in the history of the university.
Of the university. That was our first time making it to the national playoff, so that was a big deal for our university.
Very big deal.
Yeah. The
whole community was so excited. I don't live too far from the university, and I heard the cheering coming up from the stands.
That was the most fans that we've ever had at a Stony Brook football game. The stadium was packed out to capacity, so that was a very exciting game to play in.
When you talk about pressure situations, here's a team that just recently went into Division I-A, was making its way up through the ranks, and finally makes it to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And here you are, and the energy is there, the excitement is there, the thrill is there. You're playing your arch rival, Albany, for whom your coach had been coaching prior to coming to your team. That was his former team. So it doesn't get to be a much bigger challenge than that, does it?
Nah, not at all. I mean, it's the atmosphere, hearing the crowd roar and all that type of stuff. With football players, we live for that type of atmosphere. So it was a real fun experience. DJ, let's go back to that moment. What we're talking about here today, what I'd like to help some of the football players coming up to understand is what goes through the mind, what goes through the emotions of an athlete in a critical situation, pressure situation, where they're called upon to make the most important play of the game. And in your case, it really was the most important play of the game. It was less than a minute to go. Albany was driving down the field. You had just taken the lead. And they're driving down the field. They're on what, the 3-yard line? Yeah, they were on the 2-yard line.
The 2-yard line.
Yeah.
Just a little bit ahead of your goal line. And what was going through your mind? They were trying to come and turn the score over and win the game. So it was either we hold them and we win, or somehow we let them come back. Can you go back to that moment and talk a little bit about what you were doing mentally and how you were preparing for that play?
Well, before the play, the drive was a very long drive, and there were a couple plays that I personally missed that could have ended the drive. So mentally, I had to deal with that downfall of not being able to make those plays. So going in before every play, I have to remember to forget the last play, to refocus and focus on what I need to do for the next play to make that better. So that's pretty much what I did for that last play, because there was a timeout right before that last play. So I got a chance to clear my mind, to refocus and focus on the things that I needed to do. And when I went in for that next play, for that last play of the game, I focused on exactly what I needed to do, who I was covering, and what I needed to do to cover that person.
Okay.
And when the ball went up in the air, I was in perfect position to tip the ball. So.
You tip the ball, and what happens next? They run the play. They're trying to score a touchdown with the pass. You tip the ball, and it goes to who?
It goes to our safety, Dominic Reyes, and he picks it off in the back of the end zone to end the game pretty much. So that was a very exciting moment. The crowd went crazy, and my teammates were going crazy because now we're going to the second round of the playoffs. So
yes.
That was great.
It sounds like you were using some extraordinarily effective mental tools here to remain mentally tough throughout that entire drive. Clear your mind, refocus. We talk in sports psychology training and mental training, as we call it, about the 3 Ps.
Yeah.
Present, positive, process. Refocus, and then pay attention to what you need to be doing, what you need to do, not what you want to happen. It sounds like you were doing that in an extraordinarily eloquent way.
Oh, exactly, because especially for my position as a defensive back, we live the life of being close to getting beat, and making great plays. So in any aspect of football, you have to be able to refocus because, just like life or in any aspect, you might have a plan going into it, but that plan might not work out as you planned out before. So you have to be able to refocus, and you have to be able to replan and be able to regather yourself and keep going. And as a football player, that's a big part of the game. If you can't do that, then you'll probably end up being a failure on the field. You have to be able to deal with those downfalls during the game and be able to prosper afterwards. You know,
in the Big Ten many years ago, there was a protocol that was introduced, particularly for the linemen, but eventually the running backs and receivers took this and used it themselves. It's called the 3 R's. Ready, react, recover.
Yeah.
So that you're refreshed for each play. You're ready, you prepare yourself, you focus, you run the play, you just let it happen, react. And then what happened? Okay, so I either blocked that guy down or I got pancaked.
Yeah.
So recover. Okay, that's done. Close the chapter on that one. Okay, refocus for the next play. And it sounds like you, as a defensive back, were using that kind of system very, very well.
Yeah, that you have to be able to do that because one play you might get beat, and the next play your team might need you to make that big play. Like, for example, the Albany game, that first playoff game. I missed a couple plays before that. I dropped an interception that would have ended the drive. And on, I think the next couple plays, there was a 4th down, and I missed a tackle that would have tackled the player short of the first down marker, and they had more possessions on the drive. So it's just you have to keep going. I had to forget those 2 plays, and I had to forget those mistakes, and I had to remember that I'm in this position for a reason, and I need to be out here helping my team, and I need to refocus and get that out of my mind so I can play to the best of my ability.
You know, what you've just described, DJ, is what we call being mentally tough.
Yeah.
Mentally tough. And I'm kind of wondering if you could maybe speak to the issue of it just doesn't happen when you step out on the field that all of a sudden you become mentally tough.
Yeah.
You've been introduced, I know, in the last couple of months to some other approaches to becoming mentally tough. For instance, the Perform Like a Star program that has the 5 mental skills that athletes can practice to get themselves ready for, when it really is on the line. Can you talk a little bit about your appreciation or how you may have used some of those skills like goal setting or positive effective thinking, imagery, creating it in your mind, attention control? Have you use some of those strategies in developing your mental toughness? How did you get to this point where at this most critical time in your team's most important game ever in the history of the entire university, you were mentally tough? How did you build that mental toughness?
Most definitely. I mean, and first and foremost, I think every athlete uses all of these aspects. They just don't have the label to put them on them. Because before games, I've always, and my father instilled this into me, to the imagery aspect, imagining yourself and seeing yourself in those situations, in those pressure situations, and making those big plays, it prepares you for it. Because your body, sometimes when I imagine it, I can almost feel my body going through those actions. So
it's so real you can actually feel it as if it's happening.
Yeah, it really does help. So when those pressure situations do come, you're more prepared. You feel more prepared and you feel more ready, and it actually helps you relax. So you're not. Those pressure situations don't get the best of you. You get the best of those pressure situations. So it's just, it starts before the game. It starts, and just all the mental aspects. Before games, I like to listen to music to help me relax, to help me focus on the things that I need to do, and just to get me away from the things that might be, other things that might be going on in my life. So I can focus on that game and what I need to do during that game to help my team win. But all those aspects, the imagery, the goal setting, I've done that before. Going into, at the beginning of a season, setting goals for what I want to do and what I want to do for myself.
It really keeps you focused on what you want to be paying attention to and not be distracted by other things.
Yeah, and it helps me keep my eyes on the prize, keep my eyes on the task at hand, because for our team, our goal was to make it to the playoffs for the first time. So we did that, and once we got to the playoffs, it's not okay. It's we made this goal, so now it's time to set another goal. We won a national championship, so I've kept my eyes focused on that, and we did everything we possibly could to get to that goal.
And you did make it to the national championship game.
Yeah, we actually made it to our conference championship game the game before.
Oh, I see.
And then we made it to the national playoffs, and we actually, after that Albany game, we lost I think last Saturday in a very, very close loss to Sam Houston State, the number one team in the nation.
But they said in the paper that I saw them quoting saying you were the best offensive team they had played all year.
Oh, most definitely, because the game, just like the Albany game, came down to the last minute. It's just that our defense couldn't get it done like we did in the Albany game, and they scored in the last minute of the game. But it was a very exciting game to play in, just like the Albany game. It came down to the last couple minutes, so I mean, I couldn't ask for anything better. That was a great team for me to play with, and we've had some great moments this season. I wouldn't trade that for the world.
It sounds like you've given yourself the opportunity, DJ, to enjoy and really, really flourish at the same time as a player here in your last year at Stony Brook. And I think, and you're taking the time to, share with other players coming forward, and maybe even other people who are interested in how do you become mentally tough in any aspect of life. You've really provided us with some really wonderful insights tonight.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you so much for being a guest with us, and wish you the best of luck going forward.
Thank you, Doc.
Great job, DJ.